You've sent us a fascinating collection of sources on the evolution of the web.
Clearly, you're someone who understands that to shape the future,
Hmm.
you need to understand the past.
Yeah,
So buckle up, because in this deep dive.
we're going to take you on a journey through the key milestones of the web,
Okay.
from those early static pages to the immersive experiences on the horizon.
What's fascinating is how much the web has transformed in just a few decades.
We've gone from a digital landscape that was pretty much just an online library
Right.
to this incredibly dynamic and interconnected world.
Crazy to think about, right?
Like, remember those early websites?
Yeah.
We're talking blinking text, maybe a cheesy background image if you were lucky.
It's a far cry from what we're used to now.
It really is those early websites, as basic as they seem now.
We're revolutionary for their time.
This was the era of Web 1.0.
The internet as a one-way street.
You could access information, but the ability to interact or contribute was very limited.
It's wild to think that the very first website was created at CERN.
The European Organization for Nuclear Research?
Right.
You'd think particle physics and building the web were worlds apart.
But it just goes to show that innovation can come from the most unexpected places.
It's a great reminder that groundbreaking ideas often emerge from cross-disciplinary thinking.
But what's important about those early days is that they laid the foundation for everything that followed.
And then came Web 2.0, which completely changed the game.
This is where things get really interesting, because it's when the web became all about you.
The rise of social media platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter turned us all into active participants.
Yes.
Not just passive consumers.
Exactly. Web 2.0, which really took off in the early 2000s.
Ushered in a new era of user-generated content and interactivity.
Suddenly, anyone could share their thoughts and connect with others on a global scale.
And even build entire businesses online.
Wow.
Think about the impact of YouTube, for example.
It democratized content creation and gave a voice to millions around the world.
It completely changed how we consume entertainment news and even learn new skills.
Right.
Remember how we used to rely on encyclopedias and textbooks?
Now you can find tutorials and expert advice on almost anything with a quick search.
And this shift to user-generated content wasn't just about individuals.
It had a profound impact on businesses too.
Companies had to adapt to a world where customers could share their opinions and experiences instantly with the entire world.
It led to a much greater emphasis on user experience and engagement. Okay.
Which is something we'll delve into later.
But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Or maybe we should say the algorithm in the room, Web 3.0.
This is where things start to feel really futuristic, with AI and big data taking center stage.
This is where the web starts to learn and adapt to you.
Okay.
Imagine you're researching electric cars.
In a Web 3.0 environment, the website wouldn't just show you a list of cars.
Right.
It would use AI to personalize the experience based on your previous searches and browsing history.
It's like having a personal shopping assistant powered by algorithms.
It could infer your budget, your preferred driving range.
And even whether you prioritize sustainability,
Yeah.
then it would present you with options that genuinely fit your needs.
It's about moving beyond simple keyword searches to a web that understands the context of your requests
Learns from your behavior.
and anticipates your needs,
And this is all powered by technologies like AI and blockchain.
which, while complex, are already starting to have a tangible impact on our lives.
Okay, let's unpack this blockchain thing a bit.
Because I think it's one of those terms that gets thrown around a lot.
Right.
But many people might not fully grasp what it is and why it matters.
You're right, it can be a bit of a head scratcher.
Think about how you manage your online identity. Now, countless usernames, passwords, and accounts to keep track of.
Yeah.
It's a lot to juggle.
And it's not always secure.
Blockchain has the potential to simplify that.
Creating a secure, unified digital identity that you control.
So instead of having all these separate accounts scattered across the web,
You'd have one secure digital identity that you could use to interact with websites.
make transactions, and manage your data,
It's like having a digital passport that gives you more control over your online presence.
and how your data is used.
Exactly. And that's just one application of blockchain.
It's also revolutionizing finance supply chain management,
Wow.
and even how we verify the authenticity of digital art.
It's amazing to see how these technologies are already shaping the web and beyond.
But before we get too lost in the future,
Sure.
let's rewind a bit and talk about the startup ecosystem, because the evolution of the web.
And the rise of startups are deeply intertwined, right?
Absolutely. The web has been a breeding ground for innovation.
And startups have been at the forefront of this digital revolution.
Okay.
Think back to the early days of e-commerce with companies like Amazon.
It's hard to imagine now, but back then, the idea of buying something online
Right.
was met with a lot of skepticism.
Can you imagine the internet without Amazon?
It's crazy to think about how much they pioneered
Yeah.
and how much we rely on them now.
But it wasn't all smooth sailing for early internet companies, was it?
That dot-com bubble in the late 90s and early 2000s was a wild ride.
It really was.
It was a period of immense excitement and investment in internet-based businesses.
Suddenly, it seemed like every other company had a .com at the end of their name,
Yeah.
whether it made sense or not.
It's a classic example of how, even with revolutionary technology,
A sustainable business model is crucial.
right,
It wasn't enough to just have a .com.
you needed a product people actually wanted and a way to make money from it. A lot of those companies learned that the hard way when the bubble burst.
Exactly.
The dot-com bubble bursting was a painful reality check for many.
But it also provided valuable lessons for the tech industry.
Companies that survived, like Amazon, had to adapt quickly
Right.
and figure out how to create real value for their customers.
It's fascinating how that period of rapid growth and subsequent correction.
Shaped the tech landscape we see today.
And then came the rise of Web 2.0,
Yeah.
which fueled another wave of innovation with companies like Facebook.
YouTube and Twitter emerging as major players.
These platforms thrived on user-generated content.
And fundamentally changed how we connect, consume information, and even do business.
And let's not forget the mobile revolution,
Okay.
which brought the internet to our fingertips 24/7.
Talk about a game changer.
Suddenly, we weren't just accessing the web from our desktops.
Right.
We had smartphones in our pockets.
With access to a world of information and services.
And that shift to mobile had a profound impact on the startup ecosystem,
We saw the rise of companies like Uber and Airbnb
who leveraged the power of mobile technology and location-based services.
to disrupt entire industries.
These platforms weren't just websites anymore.
Right.
They were tools integrated into our daily lives.
Transforming how we commute, travel, and even order food.
They really showed the power of thinking beyond the traditional model.
And leveraging technology to meet evolving consumer needs.
Yeah.
And it's exciting to think about what innovations the future holds.
As we move further into the realm of Web 3.0 with AI, blockchain, and who knows what else,
Who can predict what amazing things startups will come up with?
the possibilities are incredibly exciting.
From personalized medicine to self-driving cars,
Wow.
startups are pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
And shaping the future of how we live, work, and interact with the world around us.
And speaking of shaping the world around us,
Let's shift gears a bit and talk about how all of these technological advancements have influenced the way websites are designed.
after all, the web is nothing without design, right?
Absolutely. The evolution of web design is a fascinating reflection.
Of the broader technological advancements we've been discussing.
In the early days, websites were incredibly basic,
Right.
purely functional,
We're talking plain text.
simple HTML, and if you were lucky, maybe a few cheesy animated GIFs to spice things up.
Exactly.
But as technology advanced, so did web design,
we saw the introduction of CSS.
which gave designers more control over the look and feel of websites.
Okay.
Slash animation came onto the scene,
Allowing for more dynamic and interactive elements
although it eventually fell out of favor.
due to accessibility and performance issues.
Oh yeah, I remember those websites that took forever to load.
Because of all the Flash elements.
Yeah.
Not exactly the seamless experience we're used to today. It's funny how things come full circle like that, but those growing pains were all part of the journey, right?
Yeah.
Web design had to evolve to keep up with user expectations and the technology itself.
Exactly. The mid-2000s saw the rise of Web 2.0.
Which, as we discussed, really put an emphasis on user-generated content and interactivity.
Right.
Websites went from being static brochures to dynamic spaces where people could connect, share, and contribute.
Became all about engagement.
Designers had to figure out how to make websites sticky
Yeah,
to keep people coming back for more.
precisely.
And then came the smartphone revolution, which completely transformed the game yet again.
Oh yeah.
Suddenly, designers had to think about how to cram all that information and functionality
Onto screens that were a fraction of the size.
It's mind-blowing how quickly we adapted to browsing the web on our phones.
I remember when some websites were practically unusable on a phone.
Right.
Now it's the complete opposite if a website isn't mobile friendly.
It's practically invisible.
It's true. The rise of mobile led to the concept of mobile-first design.
Where designers prioritize the mobile experience from the very beginning.
Okay.
And it's not just about shrinking things down.
It's about rethinking the whole user experience for a smaller, touch-based interface.
It's amazing how far we've come from those early days of clunky mobile websites.
But it wasn't just about responsiveness, right?
Right.
There was also a growing emphasis on user experience in general.
Making websites intuitive, enjoyable to use, and visually appealing.
Absolutely. Web design is no longer just about aesthetics.
It's about understanding how people interact with websites and creating seamless and enjoyable experiences.
Yep.
It's about intuitive navigation, clear calls to action.
Engaging content, and of course, those all-important fast loading times.
Because nobody wants to wait around for a website to load, right?
We've all become incredibly impatient when it comes to the web.
Yeah.
We expect things to be instant and effortless.
Exactly. And as we move further into the realm of Web 3.0 and beyond,
We can expect to see even more immersive and personalized web experiences.
Yep.
We're already starting to see augmented and virtual reality being integrated into websites.
it's like science fiction becoming reality.
I can imagine interactive virtual tours, online shopping experiences that mimic real life,
Yeah.
and even immersive storytelling possibilities that we haven't even thought of yet.
The possibilities are truly mind-expanding. But as with any powerful technology,
It's important to use it thoughtfully and responsibly.
which brings us to a crucial question for you to ponder.
As we become increasingly reliant on a web that's constantly evolving,
Right.
how do we ensure that it remains accessible and beneficial for everyone?
How do we bridge the digital divide and create a web that's truly inclusive?
It's a question we all need to be asking ourselves.
Because the future of the web isn't something that's just going to happen to us.
It's something we're all actively shaping through the choices we make, the technologies we develop.
And the ways we choose to connect with one another in this digital landscape.
Well said, and there you have it, our deep dive into the evolution of the web.
From those early static pages to the incredible immersive experiences on the horizon.
Hopefully you found this journey through the digital world as fascinating as we did.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions.
And keep imagining the possibilities of the web, because who knows what amazing things we'll create together.